6 weeks review number 5. So you have your paper in front of you that already has the problems on it, so I'd like you to go ahead and read through the problems and solve them, then watch the video to check. So in this problem, we know that Tara bought dessert for herself and 3 friends, so that's for 4 people. We know that it was anywhere between $4.80 and $6.98. So we're asked to find the least and the greatest amount that she could have spent. So what we're going to do is we're going to take $4.80, multiply it by 4, remember, because it's dessert for herself and 3 friends, and then $6.98 and multiply it by 4. So that's 32, and so $19.20. We know because there are 2 numbers behind our decimal point here, so in our answer we want 2 numbers. So she may have spent $19.20, or, so that's 36, 39, 24, 27, or maybe she spent $27.92. So we know that this is the least she could have spent, and this is the most. She could have spent somewhere in between these two, but no less than $19.20 and no more than $27.92. So in this next problem, we know that Sarah ran 20 miles, and she did that in 1.5 hours. We're looking for her mean speed. Is it more or less than 13? Remember, to find the mean, that's the same as the average. So we're going to take 20 miles and divide it by 1.5 hours. So let's take 20 and divide that by 1.5. Remember, you cannot have a decimal here, so we need to multiply it by 10 in order to get a whole number. So here we also have to multiply by 10, so our decimal moves over once. So 20 times 10 is 200. Now we can divide 15 into 20 once, subtract, and we get 50. And then 15 goes into 50 3 times, and that is 45. So we have 5. So I'm going to add a decimal point here, and in my answer, I'm going to bring down my 0. So I see that what's happening is my 3 is repeating. So her mean, or her average speed, is 13 3/10 repeating miles per hour. But the question was, she thinks that her mean speed is more than 13 miles per hour. Yes, it's 13 3/10 miles per hour. So is she correct? Yes. My children, so the next problem, my children drink 3/4 of a bottle in 1 week. That's 1 week. But I need to know how many bottles I should buy for 6 weeks. So if 1 week is 3/4, can't I just take 3/4 and multiply that times 6 weeks? Yes, so all I should have to do, I can either repeatedly add 3/4 6 times, or I can just say 3/4 times 6 over 1, and that is 18 over 4. Now I got 18 over 4, so now I have to say 18 divided by 4, and 4 goes into 18 4 times with 16 left over. So that's 4 wholes and 2/4, which simplifies to 4 1/2. So the question is, how many bottles should I buy for 6 weeks? Can I buy 4.5 bottles? Can't buy half of a bottle, so really I need to buy 5 bottles of orange juice. Okay, so next, I feed my dog 2.5 cups each day. But in this situation, I have an entire bag of dog food, and that is 42.5 cups. And I need to find out how many days I can feed my dog. Well, when I have a total, and I want to break it into pieces, and in this case, I'm breaking it into 2.5 cup size pieces I'm going to divide. So when you divide, you have to have fraction by fraction. So we're going to do 2 times 42 is 84, plus 1 is 85 halves. Divided by 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. Our denominators stay the same. Now we're going to keep 85 halves, and we're going to multiply it by the reciprocal. So I know that 5 times 2 is 10, and 85 times 2 is 170. Then when I divide 170 by 10, I get 17. So 17 days, that whole bag will last me 17 days. So I really want to emphasize that you've got to study these problems. You need to watch and rewatch as many times as necessary in order to really be able to work these problems. Do not just copy down answers. That's not going to be helpful to you. So watch and rewatch.